I 3D printed, I haven't cleaned this one yet. This bracket looks like this. Look at that. That is super smooth. You do have to be careful. I don't have end stops yet. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to make a tripod track dolly. That's the kind of thing that goes on a dolly and you set a tripod on it and it will allow you to keep constant smooth footage over rough terrain. So originally all the ones on YouTube I saw did it with brackets like this that would be screwed to a board through these holes, and then you had to drill holes somewhere in here to make it mount. Well, I didn't think that would be good enough. You know, it's only one screw holding it down, and you know, it's not a precise drilling on the hole. So I just went to the CAD and I drew out this bracket and put it on the brake and bent it. But I wasn't happy with this, so I 3D printed, I haven't cleaned this one yet, this bracket, which when it's all done looks like this. And actually when you test it, the flex on this versus the flex on the 3D printed one, even as thin as these sides are, I think that's 3 millimeters, this is 4, this is 4. This is more solid than this. And that's not even with it screwed down. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to away from the 14 gauge steel and go to the 3D printed one. Oh, well, in case you don't know, I'm also going to tell you this. So these are from Amazon. They're skate wheels. They come with bearings. I think these are like 19 bucks. I got a piece of plywood here. Well, I'll show you that in a second. I got a piece of plywood here that will have the 4 sets, like those two and this one, and then you'll have like 5, 10, or 15 or 20 feet of this pipe that will allow this board, which is obviously upside down right now, to slide upon it. And when you set a tripod on the other side with a camera, you can walk with it and it has a very smooth track. So anyways, I thought I'd bring you along for a little bit of this. I'm going to clean up this support material on the 3D print. I don't have to do too detailed a job. I have old man eyes, so I got to put these on to see where this brake line is. Basically, this is just obviously the support is printed in this fashion, so I had to support this edge, and I always go crazy and just make sure it supports these holes. Make sure the bolt fits through it. It does. Take a drill, clean these holes real quick. Okay, so the way I do it, I'm going to mount these because I got to find the exact spacing, but there's a spacer in here, so you got to make sure that spacer gets in the hole correct. See how it's out of the, not right in the hole there. Then another washer, and these washers have a cut side, so if you feel it, there's a sharp side and a smooth side. I put the smooth side towards the bearing, and then I put the cut side towards the plastic, so it kind of holds it. So smooth side towards the bearing, get the spacer, smooth side through the hole, cut side, And the bearings actually came with this little wrench, which works out good. And you can, after you mount these, there's enough room to reach under here and get these nuts and bolts on here, so it looks like a really clean install when it's done. Now, I'm kind of sucking this down because I want to set those bearings in the wheels, but these are coming back off. And so there you go. Those spin nice. Some nicer than the others, but they wear in as the bearing's not quite straight, but there it goes. All right. So this one's going to go here. And here I'm trying to figure out, let me get the camera. I'm trying to figure out the proper positioning for these. So the problem is that the way I want to do the track is I want to half cut these pieces. So there'll be a shape kind of like that in it. And this will click down, the track will click onto these. So then there'll be no hardware. It'll just click together, click apart. And on the track, I did a thing where you cut out a space from this PVC pipe. You take a hose clamp, I'll show pictures of it, hose clamp, clamp it together. And I basically have 4 10-foot pieces of PVC pipe. 2 I cut in half to 5 foot each. And I made 4 of these splits about 6 inches long. Shoved them into one end of each of the 4 5-foot posts or rail. And then you can, if you need 5 foot, you use a 5 foot. If you need 10 foot, you use a 10 foot without anything. If you need 15 feet, you connect one 5 foot to the 10 foot. And if you need 20 feet, you connect one more 5 foot to it. So I think it's going to work out pretty good. But what I'm trying to do right now is I got to figure out the spacing so that when I cut these pipes, which are going to be like the railroad ties of a track, that they have the exact right spacing. Because if they don't, this whole thing will not track correctly. I think it's 19.5, which is pretty much what that looked like. I think that's got to scoot over just a wee bit more. So from left side to left side, 19.5. So now I have to figure out how to cut this just past halfway, a hole in here the same diameter as this. And I haven't figured that part out yet, so I'm going to have to come back to you. Okay, this is what I think I'm going to go for the connection. So these are going to be what would be like the railroad ties, and this is going to represent the track that these roll on. And there's going to be 2 of these. So far I've only got 2 printed. This one just came off the printer. The way I printed these, it uses a 1/4 20 nut, and I can use my mill to make sure the spacing on these holes are exactly 19.5, because the spacing of the rails is important. You really want the spacing of the rails to stay consistent, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. I tried doing the thing like I was talking about earlier with the partially cutting in, and that didn't work. So hopefully this fits. So the 1/4 20 goes in there nice and flush, and that's going to go into this like that, and then get this one nut on here. This is not as easy to do as say, but Once that's on there, helps if I have the right wrench. Nice and snug. It's concave in 2 directions, so it matches the pipe this way. And it goes, as you can see, it goes past halfway. So now when we take the rail, and obviously these pipes are going to be, you know, the ones that are 5 feet. This is just a test piece. Kind of got a mess going on here. But when we take our rails and we just push down, that will hold that rail very snugly. And then our wheels roll right over it with no problem. So we can try, let me move you over here a bit. Make sure you're still in frame. Basically, we're going to put this one like this. That one would go here. The thing is, you want these tracks to be able to be lifted up and moved around, you know, when you're setting all this up. So, let me see, are you in focus? You're in frame there? Yeah, okay. So, click that side on. And if we put this, okay, so I can sense that already. Move this. So I'm like right there. Look at that. That is super smooth. And it's not quite on the line I thought it was going to be. But that's okay. That's why we do these tests. So that's perfect right there. So I'm going to take my pencil. I'm going to draw a line. Just make sure there's a line there. There is. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. We want to have the actual railroad tie, or the track tie, actually on the thing, so that we know that this spacing is perfect. So what we have to do is print more of these brackets, and a lot more. I will bring it back when I have those all printed, and we can try a couple runs, get these mounted to ensure they're in their correct spot, and give this whole thing a try. Okay, so using the rail as a spacer, I marked out the two, I drew a line where these 2 brackets should be spaced this way to correctly have it. Turned it around, did the other side, being impatient, waiting, not wanting to wait for the printer to print another one. So now, of course I'm going to try and do this on video, and I won't be able to, but basically you get a washer under there. You know, I try to do anything on video and it doesn't work. Did all the other ones without dropping anything. Get the washer on. Get the nut on. Sorry, did I kick you? No, I think you look good. Okay. Then you get your other one, your other washer on. Jesus. Okay, once you get those 2 on, spin the nuts sort of snug. Crazy how whenever you do things on video, it's always harder. Practiced all these other times, never had a problem, but nope, put it on video. Anyway, point of this all is you get these tightened up. Don't have to be super tight. Okay, and then this, and you know it's working right because both tires are touching. Both tires are grabbing the track, grabbing the track, grabbing the track. So that means that's properly spaced. So now you just gotta wait for the printer to print more of these ties, track tie brackets, I guess is what they'll be called. And then we'll be able to put more track ties and we'll set it up on the floor and see what it looks like. Bring you back. So this is the last set of the brackets. I've cleaned out all of the supports. That's all it is for supports for all these brackets. And then I also printed these little washers, which you can see are sloped to match the inside of the pipe. So when they go in the pipe, they'll, you know, the curve will be right and give a flat spot. One thing I'm disappointed on is that I went to the hardware store and I couldn't find any washers for quarter. These are, they say for the quarter, but they'll also fit 5/16. I think a 3/8 washer would have been more proportionate. It seems to work pretty good, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, so it's a bracket, or sorry, yeah, a track bracket. Then you got to put a washer on it with the both side down, or concave side down. Get that on there. Push up a little bit. It's hard to see it. I don't even know if I can film in there. See if I pull this over here. So washer, then flat washer. Get on there. So that's the plastic washer and the flat washer, and it just happens to be the perfect size. And then the way I do the nuts, I'm guaranteed I'm not going to be able to do this on camera, but I put the nut onto the wrench, then I hold this kind of like this and tip the nut onto it, carefully let up so the nut is sitting on the bolt, and then just spin it down. And you can see the printed washer is just enough to take up the space. Got to kind of snug it up a little bit because you're trying to get out the, or compress the bolt into the clamp. So now it's nice and recessed. Yeah, see if you can see that. It's nice and recessed in there, so when the track goes in there, it'll do without hitting it. So those are nice and tight. So now I just got to put the rest of these together and I'll bring you back. So here's the slider, the track slider, all in place. There's two 5-foot sections, or sorry, 4 5-foot sections and 2 10-foot. But I think now that now that I've used this with putting the 5-foot sections together just for transportation, I think 6 5-foots would be easier than 4 5s and 2 10s. You can see what it's like with the camera. I painted it black, obviously. I'm going to put handholds for carrying the base, and I'm going to put a couple little horseshoes for the camera's tripod feet. So here it is with the camera on it, gliding. Effortlessly, silently. You do have to be careful. I don't have end stops yet. And you can see I have a tripod dolly, not a track dolly. I think that's called a tripod dolly. And I'll show you how loud that is in just a second, especially on these tiled and hardwood floors. But this is it in action. Very nice. I'll bring it right back. I'm going to put the tripod dolly on it, and then I will show you how it sounds with that. Okay, now you can see it's on a wheeled tripod dolly. Same camera, same tripod. Hopefully you can hear that. It doesn't matter. It's on wood. Especially bad on tile. The other thing is, it doesn't like transitions onto carpeted, non-carpeted surfaces. In fact, if there was even a slightest lip here, which there isn't, but if there was a slightest lip here, it wouldn't transition that. So, like, let me see if I can get this to go over here without falling apart. Sorry. So if you came over here on the carpet and pushed it off, here, I'll go over this side. I keep kicking this. Sorry about that. So if it doesn't want to push on the carpet, but if I do, it's gonna, and you can't bring it back. It just won't go up it. But that's not a problem with this. It just runs down that track. I'm gonna have to blur that. Just runs down that track with no problem. So I'll bring it back when I get the mounts or the little horseshoe fittings on there for the to keep the tripod from accidentally kicking off. And I made 13 of the track ties, and that's a lot. You don't need that many. You don't need that many. In fact, I didn't even use all of them. There's one right over there. So, and the spacing is great. But this thing's crazy smooth. So, as you can see, I cut handholds in it so you can pick it up. But these are also, the reason I put them on this side is because if you have the track really long out and you want to, you can have somebody have a piece of string or rope and gently, pull it this way or back the other way, that kind of thing. And then I also, let me bring you in closer, sorry. 3D printed, I don't know if you can see this or not, little like horseshoe things that keep, here, let me move the leg, little horseshoe things that for each leg that will help keep the tripod from kicking out. So I'm very happy with it. I mean, it literally, it's effortlessly pushes along it. So, and I think this will be a good addition. It's so quiet, so little effort. But there you go. That's going to be my tripod Track Dolly. Thanks for showing up. Oh, and all the files for the 3D print will be on my website, jmanatee.com. If you want to, you can download them, and good luck building it. So thanks again. Talk to you later. Bye.